All right. Hey, everybody. This is Doc, and I'm here with Lurch and Angel for Game Time, which we do every week from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time here on Tuesdays. Just getting everything set up and ready to go. We're going to do a quick sound check, and then we'll get started. Let's see. I'm opening up a chat window so I can see if anybody comes in live to chat with us. Go check 1 2, check 1 2. Go check 1 2, check 1 2.
Checkity check.
Go check 1
Put
2.
the marnet to you at the very top.
Go check 1 2.
Put the marnet to you at the very top.
Got it. All right. It sounds like we're sounding good. Just for those who don't know what this is, every week we talk about anything and everything going on with the Nerdosphere, with a special focus on things like the CW verse and Marvel and DC movie releases, video game news, and Dungeons and Dragons are our main focus. But we like to talk about all the things that are happening in the Nerdosphere, so you never quite know what's going to come up. As we do like to start our shows, we're going to see how everybody's been since last week and what's been going on. Also, we're going to be saying goodbye to Angel. He's got a new job that's going to conflict. So this will be his last regular show with us, although we're going to try to get him in for an occasional guest appearance like we were doing before he became a regular, as his schedule allows. But let's see, we want the 3-host screen so we can see it. All right, and let me get over to our things. You don't need to see my face. All right. So what's been going on with you this week, Angel, other than the new job starting?
Well, I got some problem trees that have been threatening to fall on our house since we bought it, cut down finally.
Well, that's always good.
Yeah, gosh, I've put a lot more effort into programming this morning. Today was the first time that I had any level of energy. I've been so busy recently to put any level of effort into programming.
Was
My
it on your
virtual tabletop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but today was also the first day. Today I spent about 2 hours writing up kind of like a one-shot that I'm interested in playing. And I don't mind if you're a part of it, Doc.
That would be great if we do it online.
Yeah, absolutely. Other than that, I've just been being a dad and working.
Yeah, those are more than full-time jobs. Yeah, being a dad is a lot of work. I understand that. Okay, that's cool. How about you, Lurch? How's your week been?
It's been an interesting week. I'm finally getting my AC installed this upcoming weekend. My new central AC, finally getting it fixed. So
that's always a plus. Yeah.
That thing's been broken for a while.
Many years. Yeah, so many years.
Yeah, it's been a few years now. We've been living off of these window units that at least one of them is damaging my house, so I don't wanting to turn it on anymore.
Wait, is it really damaging your house? What's going on?
Yeah, I discovered it late last summer. The one in my pool table room in my den, apparently it was leaking and ruining the wood underneath it.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, condensation is a normal thing for those. Yeah.
And so
yeah, it's supposed to leak water, but yeah, that damages wood if it's not properly painted.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to drip on the outside of the house. Like, the AC is supposed to drip it on the outside, but for whatever reason, the moisture was not dripping out onto the ground outside, but dripping into my wood under my window frame.
Oh, shit. Well, that does happen occasionally, and, I used to use a lot of window units myself. I found that during the summers, the condensator will get so cold that it will freeze, and the only place for the condensation to go would be, like, pushed forward towards your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad.
So,
it mitigate that sometimes if you put the absorbent foam underneath before you put the
Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that because that causes mold. We also experienced that.
Oh God. So yeah, hopefully after this weekend I can just take all these window units out of the windows because I've got 1, 2, 3. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows have window units sitting in
Oh my
them.
God.
Yeah,
One is broken and doesn't run, which is the big heavy one.
And
It'll take like
only good for one room.
You and I both installed that really massive one together.
yeah.
And your kitchen one. Yeah.
The kitchen one is pretty small, but the one, that really big one that's busted. God,
yeah.
I put so much
that
effort
was
into
the pain
that
in the
thing.
ass. Yeah, and like it was like in the middle of summer, so we were both like sweating. I had to go out into the garage to cool off because of how hot your house had become.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a nice.
It was slippery because we were so wet from the sweat. Yeah, it was a rough day.
Oh, yeah, it was. Oh my God. Wow, that was like 4 years ago, wasn't it?
Maybe it's hard to.
Before COVID.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm finally gonna have it's $9,500 to replace everything, and I was hoping to save up for it, but instead I just built up my credit enough that I could finally get approved for a loan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, I mean, right before my show, Allison surprised me with one of the new strawberries and cream Dr. Peppers, so I'm getting to try that out.
Nice.
That's not a huge thing.
Monica really enjoys those. I've never had one.
It is very good. I like Dr. Pepper, and I used to love getting the cherry vanilla when they had that, and the berries and cream. So getting strawberries and cream, I was really kind of anxious to try and see if it's on par with the others, and it's pretty good. We are starting to get to the acceptance phase of losing our kitty, so it's a little bit still bittersweet, but we're not crying all the time over her anymore. Not all the time, although I'm about to tear up again. Let's see.
There's a bunch of kitties in the Marvels trailer.
I didn't see the Marvels trailer. Reginald the Vampire dropped on one of the things. I think it was Hulu. So if you wanted to watch that, that's the one that stars the guy that was Ned in the Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
Bartoloma or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
As the fat kid vampire, and so that dropped the first season of it anyway on Hulu, and so I binged that. I also binged another one saying what's called "I'm Not Okay with This," which was on Netflix. It's a couple of years old. That the main character ends up developing some mild psychic powers. A lot of people call it Carrie the TV series because of a couple of scenes, but it's not quite as dark as Carrie. Although she does blow up a kid's head at one point.
Not as dark as Carrie.
Not as dark as Carrie. She just blows up kids' heads.
She does blow up a kid's head at one point. So there is that. Other than that, I haven't done
honestly consider Carrie pretty tame. Like, you know what I mean, comparatively.
Well, considering the time frame that Carrie was, it was pretty dark at the time. And Sissy Spacek did a great job in the original Carrie. But anyway, that's good. What else just dropped? The Tetris movie dropped on Apple TV. I haven't watched it yet, but it did drop.
I'd love to watch it, but I'm not getting Apple TV until Godzilla comes out.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I get it for free through one of my cell phones.
It was Apple TV getting an exclusive Godzilla movie. I think you mentioned it before.
No, that's the Godzilla TV series that takes place in between, I believe, the 2014 Godzilla and the 2019 Godzilla.
Oh.
And it's to include a lot of different monsters. So I'm excited. It's following a human cast, but there will be kaiju fighting. I'm not anticipating a lot. It is a TV series, but yeah, they are. It does tie in. So I'm interested. I want to follow more about what Monarch is about.
And then what else? Something drops on the 14th, and I don't remember what it is. And sometime this month we get that anniversary Power Ranger special. Is this month?
Yeah.
This week. That's exciting. I'm excited for that.
I am too. Renfield drops this weekend.
That's in theaters now, right?
It opens in theaters on Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's it about? I don't think I've seen anything about it.
Dracula is played by Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, okay. I'm familiar now. Yeah. It's I'm sorry. You can go ahead and explain for the people though, but I remember.
It's basically a movie that focuses on Renfield instead of Dracula.
Yeah.
Wasn't Crazy Eyes? I forget what his name is. Nicolas Cage. Wasn't Nicolas Cage? Yeah, Dracula. That's such a wacky movie.
It is. And the thing is, it looks like, you know how the classic Renfield would eat bugs and stuff. In this case, from the previews, it looks like when he eats bugs, he gets superpowers. So he becomes a badass when he eats a bug.
I'm going to be honest with you. I am not familiar with Renfield at all. I have no idea who he is.
He was the classic slave servant of Dracula that would go out and get him meals and do all his daytime chores. In fact, in a lot of the vampire culture, they call the servants that can go out in the daytime, they call them a Renfield now. But he's from vampire.
I normally call them thralls.
Yeah, but their original name, they called him Renfields after that character because he was.
I have never once heard that ever.
Igor. Yeah.
I'm sure Steph knows about it. She loves about like vampire stuff, but I never once heard the name Renfield before.
I'm a little.
He was known for bugs, and like in.
What was he from?
Dracula. A lot of the Dracula.
I mean, was he one of the movies or like in the novels?
What are the different movies? But what's the Love at First Bite?
I mean, it's been around long enough that there's something called Renfield syndrome, which is an obsession with drinking blood.
Yep.
Clinical vampirism is commonly known as Renfield syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yep, it is for vampire lore. Renfield.
I have never heard
a good side character.
Yeah, like the 1992 film Bram Stoker's Dracula had a Renfield.
I don't know, but I'm going to be writing it down in my notes as a potential name for a D&D town.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Renfield is a classic vampire cultural reference as one of the side characters in the Dracula storyline that a lot of people still remember.
I've seen a ton of Dracula stuff. For whatever reason, the name Renfield does not click out. But I'm looking up Renfield, and there's like 20 movies of Dracula that have a Renfield in it.
Yep.
That's legitimately crazy to me. How Steph is a huge vampire fan. She consumes everything vampires, and in fact, one of the presents that I got her for her birthday last year was an Anne Rice, like a signed book by Anne Rice of Interview with the Vampire.
Right.
And it's just
he's in the book. He's in the novel Dracula. That's the name of his assistant in that movie.
That's crazy. I always thought it was Igor for some reason.
That's because
that's Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
A lot of later movies incorporated Igor when they started mixing the monsters. When they brought in Frankenstein and the werewolf in the same movies, like Saturday the 14th, and
I think Young Frankenstein also had like Igor in it, right? Like that was like
Well, yeah, and
Yeah, but,
what's his name? The one with Hugh Jackman, um, where he
Helsing.
Van Helsing. Yeah, they used Igor instead of Renfield in that one.
You know what? That's my favorite Dracula-related media, so that's probably where I got Igor as Dracula's assistant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some of the modern ones have replaced him with Igor, but if it's
God, that was such a great movie. I love that movie.
It is a great movie.
When it first came out.
It's really in some ways it's more my favorite Hugh Jackman than Wolverine. I love it. Movie.
I kind of agree.
Yeah. I mean, and I love him as Wolverine. Don't get me wrong. He's great as Wolverine, but Van Helsing, he was just so good.
I
wanted that to continue so badly. Like, that was such a good movie.
A sequel to Van Helsing would have been great. There was a spoof movie called Stan Helsing that was pretty good. That was really funny.
Okay, but it was nothing on Van Helsing, but you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, so that's kind of some of the stuff. There's something, like I said, coming out to stream on like the 14th, and I'm trying to remember which movie it is.
Coming to stream?
Yeah, one of them that's leaving theaters and coming to stream on the 14th. And I cannot recall for the life of me which one it is now.
Let's see here. Cocaine Bear coming to Peacock on the 14th.
Cocaine Bear, which I saw. It was an amazing movie. I loved it. So yeah, Cocaine Bear is coming to Peacock.
Of course, it's coming to like the one I'm not subscribed to.
Right. Well, you could always come over to my house and watch it.
See, that level of frustration of like, I don't like being gatekeeped from movies is the reason why I feel like God, there's too many streaming services. Stop it. Get some help.
Yeah. It has gone too far.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone other than Doc who subscribes to Peacock.
There's a few shows on Peacock, like, I just watched the season finale of the new Quantum Leap on Peacock, I believe it was. Yeah. So that's one of the things I watch on Peacock. And I watch Night Court on Peacock, the new Night Court with Melissa Rauch from Big Bang Theory. The girl that
Holy crap.
Dead.
Spider-Man trilogy is now on Netflix? The old ones? The Sam Raimi?
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire ones?
That makes sense. Disney still doesn't have the publishing rights.
No, Marvel and DC have been selling or leasing some of their properties to other streaming services to up their revenue because streaming is kind of losing them a lot of money.
Well, Marvel doesn't hold the rights to where Spider-Man gets published. Sony does, so that would be a Sony decision, not Marvel.
Right.
Yeah. And Sony doesn't have their own streaming service. They stream it wherever. Most of them go to Stars first. They do have an exclusivity deal with Stars, so they have to stream it with Stars first. And then after a set amount of time, they can then move it to wherever.
Yeah, that's why the Venom movie went to Stars right away, when a lot of people were under the impression it wasn't going to go to stream at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just looking at things coming to streaming this month, and I spotted the Spider-Man. I was like, oh, neat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I own all of it, so I don't need it. But
yeah, right?
Yeah, I do too.
Me too.
Who doesn't already own it?
Right. So anyway, that's pretty much what's kind of going on. We're going to get into our topics now for the week. And the first one is Angel's got a couple topics this week, so we're going to start with Angel. And this one has Lord of the Rings arriving for D&D 5th edition next month. Make a
someone who's not driving will probably have to look at the publishing company. But for 5e specifically, someone is publishing a official Lord of the Rings book that has multiple more classes and spells and whatnot. Lots of character customization options for Lord of the Rings, which is fucking exciting because and it's kind of funny because like Wizards of the Coast isn't
it's Free League
publishing it.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's Free League Publishing.
Yeah, Free League Publishing, and it's really funny that they don't because like Lord of the Rings has published like the actual owners, like they've published like two other TTRPGs for Lord of the Rings specifically. They didn't do particularly well.
Merps was owned by ICE, Iron Crown Entertainment, and they published the Merps book under the Rollmaster heading, and it was one of the reasons that TSR couldn't publish a lot of direct Lord of the Rings tie-in stuff in the early days.
Well, so D&D, like TSR, who made D&D, had called halflings hobbits, and those were specifically Lord of the Rings, like created stuff, and so they got into a bit of legal trouble for that, and Wizards of the Coast, I'm surprised that it hasn't tried to negotiate Lord of the Rings after all of these time, like legally, but someone else did, and we get it to 5e regardless. So
yeah.
Well, it's because Iron Crown refused to sublicense to and give up their license to TSR because they at the time they were like in direct competition.
I don't think they were in direct competition. One of them had a TTRPG, and one of them was like Lord of the Rings didn't have a TTRPG at the
Yes,
time.
it did. It had Middle Earth role playing. It was under Rollmaster, but it was separate books just to play Middle Earth.
Oh, you're saying that I believed it was the Tolkien estate who sued TSR, not that publishing company.
Yeah, it was. The Tolkien estate sued them, and they sold the rights to Iron Crown. They licensed the rights to Iron Crown Entertainment, ICE, and they were the ones that started developing a role-playing game for Lord of the Rings. And then a few times throughout the years, TSR/Wizards of the Coast have come saying, hey, we want to develop in Middle Earth, and ICE's like, nope, we're not giving up the license. Because even though their game system never really took off, they did not want to sell out to TSR/Wizards of the Coast.
I understand legally, like, preventing Dungeons and Dragons for free from publishing their stuff, but like they weren't getting any of the cut. So like I understand that, but like if D&D was doing really well, I don't know what they would have against doing it legally. Like, and Wizards of the Coast is a wildly different platform.
It's just
like
that ICE didn't want to give up the license to another company, and so
I know that there has been 2 official TTRPGs that have released for Lord of the Rings. I don't know that of the research that I've done, I've only seen 2 official ones. So you would have, and they were called wildly different things. So
according to this article, there's one called The One Ring: Role Playing in the World of Lord of the Rings, which was originally published in 2011.
Who published that one? I know.
And then rebooted apparently in 2022. But of what I've seen,
there's only 2 official TTRPGs for Lord of the Rings. So I don't know what you want to do with that. And also I haven't read the article. You just expect an article link to be sent to you, so I just sent that article to you. But whenever I looked it up, personally, because I heard it from like my YouTube, and so I was interested to see how many officially published Lord of the Rings there were.
Surprisingly enough, the One Ring was published by Free League Publishing, the ones that are doing it this time.
Yeah. I also found in 2002 the Lord of the Rings role-playing game. This is released by Decipher Incorporated.
Okay. And then look up MERPS, and that'll be the original one from ICE.
It doesn't sound like that's official Lord of the Rings.
You said MMREP?
MERPS.
MERPS.
Middle Earth role-playing system.
Yes. And that was the first one that was officially licensed. Stood for Middle Earth Role-Playing, and it was from 1984, published by ICE. It was first edition 84, second edition 86, and the collector's second edition in 93.
Okay.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, I used to play
So this is the first time that it's being officially released for 5th edition.
For D&D.
I mean, it's officially licensed, not by Wizards of the Coast. It's a third party, so officially as a third party being released. But
happens to people that the people that did it for the One Ring, which means they're probably the ones that got the license when it finally expired from ICE.
It sounds like they're trying to cast as wide of a net as possible. They made one in 2022, and then they're also releasing it for 5e. It sounds like, hey, we got our own system, but if you prefer D&D, you can buy it here too. Sounds very. So it just sounds like they're casting a really wide net, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, I'm kind of skimming through a couple of different like wiki pages and stuff, and it doesn't look like these other versions of Middle Earth role playing or Lord of the Rings role playing were actually part of Dungeons and Dragons. They were just other tabletop RPG games.
They were other tabletop RPGs, yes.
Yeah. So I think that for other statement is this is the first time it's a part of D&D.
Yes, it
is right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying. I was just saying that not a lot of other TTRPGs have it officially licensed for them.
I do think it's. I like how this article points out though about how, because it says here make a save versus irony, and it's because in a lot of ways Dungeons and Dragons itself was inspired by Lord of the Rings. And now Lord of the Rings is being added to Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
One of the first things listed in the bibliography of the original Dungeons and Dragons was The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, because it was major inspiration for the game.
Yeah, the entire, the whole lucky feat, the whole lucky feature, the aspect of every Hobbit that is lucky is inspired by all of the events that occurred for the Hobbit to have not died.
Totally Bilbo Baggins, yeah. It was totally Bilbo and his lucky feature.
Yeah, his lucky feet,
Yeah.
Yeah. Bilbo Baggins' whole lucky trait is what inspired the lucky for hobbits everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, so, and halflings.
Right.
It's great. So that was that. I also wanted to add kind of like an addendum as like a side thing. So I misread what the statement meant from the Creator Summit with Wizards of the Coast a few days ago, last week. What actually was meant when they said that when D&D is being considered 5e, what they actually meant was they're not making any character class changes. It's not 5.5. It's not 6. They're keeping it as is and adding to it, and like addending things that no longer work.
Right.
But otherwise, they're not making. My new understanding from a lot of different sources this last week has been they're not through it. They're not making a new fighter.
Right. Oh, we lost a big chunk of that. You went.
Oh, what chunk?
You said they're not, and then we hear blank,
oh yeah,
and then we got not making a new fighter class.
Yeah, they're not making a new druid class. They're not making new classes. So like they're not revamping the classes. They are just adding to them.
They're doing new options, but that's just like making new subclasses and stuff.
That kind of doesn't make sense compared to these things that we've been playtesting or seeing in the playtesting.
No. This is a new thing they decided.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, through playtesting.
So through playtesting they decided to not make those such drastic changes?
That is my understanding of the material now. That we have a lot more information out than we did. It appears that when they made the statement, this isn't 5.5, this isn't 6, we're keeping D&D 5e and adding to it. I guess they expounded more on it, and since no one was there to record it, it appears that they're getting rid of the new class concept.
Huh.
Yeah, which means anything that they do that's really like new will probably just come in as a new subclass.
Yeah.
That way they still say it's the same edition, but they're just adding more character options, which they do anyway.
Fuck, I'm keeping the Bard reaction thing. That is so useful. Before we enacted that, our Bard never used her Bardic Inspiration, ever.
I use it all the time, but yeah, not all Bards do.
As a reaction, it's a lot more useful. I mean, look at the situation of a Bard, right? It's like, okay, now I got to determine beforehand whether or not you're going to do a move, or I have to sacrifice a bonus action during combat, whether or not you're going to be doing a skill check. If you're going to be doing a skill check, that's ridiculous. A reaction is you have a Bardic Inspiration when you need it, and there's no chance of you wasting it after 10 minutes. And it's just like, you know what? It's like, here, just have some inspiration. It's so useful.
Yeah.
It is better for the action economy.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I wanted to, so that is like, from the various creators after that week, because like it had just happened, and then there was like a whole week of like more information coming out. So I just wanted to update.
Yeah, I think they're going to incorporate a lot of those things in as optional rules and subclasses, but they're not going to do a total overhaul.
You know what? I would prefer them being like Bardic Inspiration, optional Bardic Inspiration. And then, but honestly, optional Bardic Inspiration might not work with like some of the older Bard Inspiration stuff, but I mean, it might. I don't know.
Like with any optional rule, it's up to the DM whether they allow it or not. So
yeah,
that's the thing. It's like if the DM decides.
Well, I mean, previously released things that would use Bardic Inspirations may no longer work if it's a reaction as opposed to a token that's given.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying is like it might break the game in a way that wasn't intended. It doesn't matter. A variant rule could work, is what I'm saying. I'm just saying there might be instances where it wouldn't. But I'm keeping it. Fuck it.
Well, and all you would have to do is the stuff that it didn't work as a reaction to, you just wouldn't be able to use the reaction facet for that usage. So that would be part.
Yeah, I think it would depend on. I think it would depend on the Bard subclass. I think there's a Bard subclass that allows you to use a 10-minute token for something, and like that would work with a reaction. But I mean, that could just simply be like it's no longer a reaction, but a bonus action to do this one thing. So yeah, as a variant rule, it should be able to work.
Right. Anyway,
I haven't thought that much.
we're going to move on from that one and go to the topic for Lurch today, which is the state of play announcement featuring more than 20 minutes of Final Fantasy 16 gameplay.
Yes, so this upcoming Thursday, so we're recording on Tuesday, April 11th.
So day after tomorrow.
Yeah, so the day after tomorrow, Thursday, April 13th, we are getting a PlayStation State of Play that, like you said, it'll have 20 minutes of gameplay for Final Fantasy 16. I'm guessing that's probably going to be I don't know if it's only Final Fantasy or if there's going to be other things. As the article here outlines, it says, Sony didn't elaborate on what will be shown during the showcase, but, well, okay, so it's saying that about this Final Fantasy 16 stuff. But presumably we'll see some new areas and mechanics. I think I've talked about this enough times before to let you guys know that I am really, really looking forward to this Final Fantasy 16 game. I think it would be nice if they showed a few other things, because there's been rumors coming around in the industry about like a major showcase coming, but we don't have any announcements yet, but a lot of rumors about getting a showcase before Summer Games Fest. And I'm really looking to see what PlayStation has to show further out. But at least they've announced this little tidbit, so you can see some more Final Fantasy 16 before it comes. And I just this is a short little announcement for everyone to know that if you had an interest in this game, you'll get more on Thursday. If you aren't familiar, the combat director for this game did the combat for the Devil May Cry games, at least the newest one, if not some of the others. And I hear that is a good source to get an idea of what the combat should be like.
Yeah, so
I really enjoyed Devil May Cry 5. It was too short, in my opinion, and that's good. Like I wanted it to continue, and I think that's a good quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really fun.
So yeah, that's a super quick one, just about the state of play.
That means the Lurch will be trying to watch it this week, which means next week we'll get a little bit more of a report on it, more than likely.
Yeah, and I mean, whenever we have these announcements, and there's a lot more being announced, more subjects, I have a lot to talk about because there's a lot of things being announced. This one is just going to be Final Fantasy 16, but I'm so excited about Final Fantasy 16. I don't think I can stop myself from at least spending a little bit of time next week talking about what we learned from it. Kind of my big thing right now is we just a lot of cool stuff that's being announced, and I mean, we just had. I know you guys don't watch. I know you, Doc, especially don't watch the live-action Star Wars stuff.
Right.
But man, the new trailer for Ahsoka came out.
What? Oh my
yeah.
God! That's exciting. Yeah. So anyone who knows me knows that Ahsoka's actor is like one of my favorite actresses of all time. I fucking love her.
Yeah, and so they have a couple of new characters in it that have orange sabers.
Ooh.
Not sure what that is about. The actor, one of the actors that's playing one of those orange saber wielding guys is I think his name's Ray Stevenson. He played the Punisher in the third Punisher movie, Punisher Warzone. And I can't think of what else he's done, but I know him from that movie, and I've seen him in a few other things, so that's why I always come back to. But we got Ahsoka Tano, we've got Chopper, that murderous little droid from we got basically all of Star Wars Rebels. We got Ezra Bridger, we've got we got Hera Syndulla.
He's appeared live action before, hasn't he?
No.
Oh wait! Is this live action or is this?
This is live action.
Oh, Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka? Nice.
Yes.
She's a great actress.
Yeah, she's one of my.
She was the night nurse in the Defenders stuff on.
Yeah, she was.
And she's great.
Yes.
I love her.
she first appeared as Ahsoka in an episode of The Mandalorian. That was a really good episode of The Mandalorian. And she was seeking out Admiral Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn.
And Hayden
the
Christensen's
blue guy.
back as Anakin?
Huh?
Hayden Christensen's back as Anakin?
I mean, we haven't seen anything about him in this show. He wasn't in the trailer,
Yeah,
as far as I know.
he's in at least one episode.
I'm not sure if he would be, because I don't think it's about.
Yeah, he's dead by the time this show takes place. So maybe.
Yeah. This isn't. I mean, Doc, you really got to catch up on the show, because like this is after the Empire.
Yeah. So now, hey, they did get Hayden Christensen to reprise his role for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. He played Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
But that was like in the past.
Yeah, that takes place.
It might be in a flashback episode or something, because he is listed on the IMDb.
Yeah, you're right. He is listed on IMDb, but that could be inaccurate. But we don't know, like Lars Mikkelsen here, he's reprising his role as Grand Admiral Thrawn, which in the show he was the voice actor. Now he's the full face in body actor of that character. I don't know if you're familiar with Thrawn, but he is a terrifying villain in the Star Wars world.
Yes, he is.
I think he might be scarier than Vader. Like face to face in combat, Vader is scarier, but Thrawn is a genius.
Yeah, he imposes kind of like this like fear of like I hope he doesn't cross paths. I really hope they don't cross paths, because like there is like a fear of evil Superman, right? Like an all-powerful god, that could very easily kill you. And then there's a fear of a Nazi commander. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the fucking it's like a psychological fear from like the presence that they project.
We can say for sure though, the IMDb listing is so new that right now they're only listed as one episode. Because
okay. So I mean,
only one episode.
The show's called Ahsoka.
Right.
So I'm sure she's in more than one episode.
Right. Which tells you that the IMDb is really new. They have not put any new updates on it yet. And
I need to remind everybody of the She-Hulk situation where you were looking at IMDb in order to be.
Yeah.
It's not correct.
Yeah, I was waiting to see how many Charlie Cox is going to be in, and every week they change it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah. Disney is known for manipulating them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but people not familiar with the series at all or like its production can manipulate what's in an IMDb.
Right.
So like I would never ever accept a list of actors showing on the IMDb as meaningful in any way before a series comes out.
Well, they usually are all in it if they're on the IMDb. It just they're not necessarily in the episodes, numbered episodes.
Go back to the IMDb screen though, because there is something I want to point out. A couple of the character names. A couple of them were called Hati and Skrull. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. They're the two characters in the trailer that are wielding orange lightsabers, and they seem to be villainous. But the younger one has like a Jedi like tail thing for her hair, like a bead. What do they call those? So I think they are like, I think one's training the other.
This must be.
But they're definitely like the oops. I wanted to mention those two names, Hati and Skrull, in Nordic lore, those are the two names of the wolves that chase the sun and the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Which
is kind of interesting. I think I'm
going to have to call you guys back here in a second. My phone's doing something weird.
Yeah, they're not showing up in
there it is. Shin Hati and Balon Skrull.
Oh, Shin Hati. Hati's the second name. And Balon Skrull.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ray Stevenson and Ivana Sakno. Sakno?
Sakno.
Sorry if I know I'm mispronouncing
it.
I didn't catch David Tennant.
He plays a character called Huyang. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if he's a one episode or not because we don't have any updated
Yeah,
info yet.
ignore the episode count number.
Yeah, because everybody's only in one episode, even Ahsoka. So we know that's not right.
Yeah. But yeah, this is going to be some awesome stuff.
We don't even know what their episode count is yet.
like I watched Star Wars Rebels, and when I first started, I was like, I'll watch it, and it ended up being a really great show, and I ended up loving the characters. But I never thought I'd see these characters in live action. We got one of them in a recent episode of The Mandalorian, Zeb, who was like who was CG'd, but he was really well done, and a scene and had a little bit of dialogue with the character. And now we're getting like the rest of the Rebels team on here. Sabine Wren is a Mandalorian that has like pink hair, multicolored hair, and she uses graffiti to spray paint on stuff.
We have to wait till August for the premiere.
And what's great is so Sabine Wren is who stole the Darksaber from Darth Maul, and then she gave it to Bo-Katan. And that Darksaber is supposed to belong to the ruler of Mandalore.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, that trailer came out and it looks amazing. The Marvels trailer came out today and it looks really great. We get to see the three girls, the three Marvels, Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, and Miss Marvel, trading places when they use their powers.
Yeah.
On accident.
I'm looking forward to that because Miss Marvel, I really, really liked the TV series. And the way they did Monica Rambeau in WandaVision, she was just such a compelling character that I want to see them do more with them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in my opinion, the best of the Marvel TV series was WandaVision, of all of them. Followed closely by Moon Knight. And so I want to see more of Monica Rambeau. And then Miss Marvel was just really, really good, especially with the different cultural elements that just brought so much more life and color to the series. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that movie. A couple other things have been pushed up in production. One of the movies, I don't remember which one it was, actually is going to be like a week or two earlier than it was originally forecasted. I'm trying to remember which one that was. But yeah, we've had so many shakeups in the Hollywood sector lately when it comes to movies. They're restructuring all the stuff they're doing for Marvel. Their DC is up and down and up and down about.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about what's going on in Marvel, but my understanding with Marvel is, my understanding is they just kind of made everything, and Marvel will start coming out a little bit later than planned, and it may just be a matter of they need to realize they needed to give their special effects team more time to finish their work.
Yeah.
At least that's one of the rumors that's come out, is they're doing that to let their special effects team do more work.
Kevin Feige came out and said that he wanted to redirect a focus on quality over quantity.
Yeah. I think that's the same thing.
I really feel like that hurt them with She-Hulk. She-Hulk was great and all, but like the special effects weren't fantastic.
Wasn't fantastic. The show itself, the writing and everything was great, but the FX left something to be desired.
Yeah, and so I will be excited when I told Lurch, I was like, I remember whenever MCU had like 2 movies coming out a year, and I was excited for that, and I'm okay with that now. Like, if they went back to that and was like, yeah, we got, like, 2 series and 2 movies.
Yeah.
Because I think they could easily, like, handle that.
They don't
That's fine.
saturate as much, yeah. If they saturate it so much, for one thing, they're diffusing the dollar of the moviegoer, because now the moviegoers are going to have to pick and choose which one they want to watch instead of saving up and going to see them all. And
I don't know if you guys, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast before, but Bob Iger had to come back and reshape a lot of the Disney stuff. And one of the things that was like Disney movie or like Marvel movies are making money, but at the expense of the rest of the Disney. And there is a level of like money involved in. I guess Disney was misreporting and hiding losses.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's why they.
And so. Yeah, and so a lot of restructuring is happening right now, and we're seeing like a change in what's happening because of that. So it's not surprising that they took, because like this news came out like a month ago, or two, I don't know, but it came out earlier this year, and
yeah, we're getting a few different ripples of that, like. For instance, they're delaying the release to stream of a couple of movies so that they can be out on digital without going to stream first to get a little bit more revenue from them before they go to stream.
Well, it also, oh yeah, it also makes a lot of sense for Disney to want to protect or like like want to make a decision before announcing anything. So like the fact that this news of what's happening at Marvel is coming out now, like versus how long ago this Bob Iger coming back and having to help restructure Disney.
Yeah,
I believe the reason why is because they wanted to have a solid strategy before announcing anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's good business. It's good business practice. And then, of course, standing behind a motto like quality over quantity is just, that's good business sense. It makes everybody feel more reassured that they're going to.
I saw your eyes darting to the right there, Lurch. What research did you do?
Well, I didn't do any research. I'm just trying to look at the. I mean, I just don't. I definitely want to make sure we're getting quality over quantity. I didn't hear about the rest of Disney suffering due to Marvel's success, which is very interesting.
Bob Iger retired, and they had to bring him back and retire the new hire. I even forgot what his name is. They brought him back because of the money troubles that he put Disney in.
It starts with a CH. It's like Chopin or something like that. But yeah, he was also putting so much focus on their streaming service that other things were suffering from that as well. Because streaming is.
I like the idea of a mark. Oh, sorry, go. I interrupted you. There was a little bit of a lag. I thought you were done.
It's just not as profitable, so they need to put some more of their focus on other things. And he was putting all their eggs into the streaming basket. That guy was just determined that Disney Plus was going to be the cash cow for Disney, and it didn't turn out to be the case. It's nice, but it's not the cash cow.
Sure. Did I have one more topic to discuss?
Yes, you did. You had a Cobalt Press topic, which is what we're going to next. For those who have not been following, Cobalt Press is, of course, doing Project Black Flag, and we do have a Kickstarter launch window for Project Black Flag.
So that's already done. I was unable to find. I was a part of the live stream. I've been a part of like the Discord server for Cobalt Press for I want to say about 7 months now. Or not 7 months now. Sorry, like 1 month. It's only been out for a month. I was like one of the first 2,000 people. I said 7 months. I was thinking of like 7 weeks or something. But anyway, whenever the start date was, I was one of the first 2,000 people in it. And I've been a part of a lot of their live streams and stuff like that. They have now named their new platform. It is called
Tales of the Valor.
Tales of the Valor. Yeah.
The Valiant.
Tales of Valor. TOV. and it's exciting. So one of the things I really, some of the stuff that they talked about in their live stream just before they announced the name of Tales of Valor is it's still a focus. You can, they claim that you can replace your D&D system with this system of any current campaign that you're doing and still run just fine.
Now, just a clarification, it's Tales of the Valiant, not Valor.
Yeah, Valiant. And so the Tales of the Valiant is not out yet, obviously.
No,
so it's not like you could do it today. But that's the name of it, and some of the focus is that they're bringing. Okay, so there was like this subclass that they printed for 5e that I really enjoyed the concept of, and they're bringing it into full focus in here, which I'm excited for because, this is a really interesting system, and I love their character creation setup, is a wizard that is nothing but cantrips.
What?
Okay.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So they made a wizard. So if you know anything about Kobold Press, the first thing you should know is that they love nothing more than making cantrips. Cantrips make up like 35% of all spells they've ever produced.
Huh.
And they love cantrips. And so having a wizard based on them that as it levels up makes cantrips more powerful and like on par with like other spellcasters.
Instead of getting higher level spells, they get to enhance them.
Yeah, they're like, cantrips don't have love. And so their goal is to make the cantrip. Dude, you can actually see the cantrip wizard concept that was previously printed. It's phenomenal. And it's something that, I don't know. And I got an opportunity to ask a couple questions in the live stream, and I had an opportunity to like talk or like listen to other people talking to or ask questions, of the developers. And man, they're talking about rituals that are like mass rituals that require multiple people in the party to increase its effectiveness or like potency. I mean, like they're bringing crazy concepts into like this, like the TTRPG platform, and I'm just like, God, it's going to be really hard for me to tell you guys that we need to stay with D&D.
It's one of the funny
when that
things
comes out.
Because early when cantrips were introduced, there was a huge outcry by a lot of people. They didn't want cantrips. They thought that they broke the whole Vancian magic system and stuff. But there was a bunch of people that liked them.
I've never played D&D first or second edition, but wasn't cantrips used to be called level 0 spells? Hasn't that always existed?
Second edition Dungeons and Dragons, they were called level 0 spells. First edition didn't have them at all.
So you're saying Outcry in second edition?
Yeah, in second edition, they brought in 0 level spells, and then the ones that were wizard spells were called cantrips, and the ones that were priest spells were called ortizans. But now, then they, at the 2.5 era, when they brought in the skills and powers books and stuff, which is equivalent to the 2.5, that's when they started really using the term cantrip. And then briefly, there was a spell called cantrip. Instead of having cantrips as individual spells, they just had a spell called cantrip, but that didn't work out real well. So it was kind of similar to prestidigitation. It did small effects, and they just called it the cantrip spell. But people really liked the little minor magics and their individuality.
Yeah. So Kobold Press has been releasing a lot of, currently right now there's a huge sale going on for a lot of their PDFs. A lot of them are story PDFs, and physical books. Most of them are. But if you God, there's just so many. My favorite monsters, and I haven't really had an opportunity to use any of them. But I bought Creature Codex, and I'm really invested in the monsters that appear
The
there.
Creature Codex
And
is the most popular third-party creature books out.
it is among them, yes. Of the third party, I think Tome of Beasts is like number one for like favorite third party monster compendium.
And then Creature Collection is next.
Yeah. And so for 5e anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. They're like really cool, and they're made by the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Kobold Press has, I think they made like 2,000 monsters in like across 4 books. It's insane. It is literally insane.
Ironically, Lurch posted, I think it was earlier today, it's not a cantrip right now, but Magic Missile used to be a cantrip for a little while, especially in 4th edition. And Lurch was asking if it was better to upcast Magic Missile or do Fireball for his character that's leveling up. And I was like,
well, I was meaning a single target, like
on a
specifically.
Target, yeah.
And the thinking is I'd have both spells.
Right.
Like I have both spells, but I was thinking if I'm in battle and I'm fighting a single target, not considering the resistances, potential shield or fire resistance, just their regular chance to hit and average damage output for a single target, would an upcast magic missile be more worthwhile of that level 3 spell slot over Fireball?
At 3rd level, yes, because you're guaranteed to hit, which means you'll. I mean, and like you'll take half damage with Fireball, but you're guaranteed like whatever you roll for magic missile.
Yeah.
Every
they don't have like a shield spell, right?
Or every time you can.
Yeah, as long as they don't have like a shield spell or a shield magic item that prevents magic missiles. Yeah, and the only exception would be if you were fighting creatures that were especially vulnerable to fire. Then you might actually want to redirect and go into your Fireball.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that there's that vulnerability.
Like I was thinking about the math on it, right? Like 8d6 is 48. So the average on a Fireball is somewhere around 25, 26 damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but if they beat that with a dex saving throw, it's half of that. So it's like 12, 13 damage. So depending on whether they save or not, you're averaging between 12 to 25 damage with a Fireball to a single target. Whereas a Magic Missile is guaranteed to hit, and it upcasts to that level, it can do up to 25 damage. But it does a minimum of, what was it? A minimum of 8 damage?
How many missiles are you getting?
It's 5 missiles, so it's a minimum of 10 damage.
It's a minimum of 10 damage, and
maximum of 25.
Yeah. One like there's a little side thing. Artificer has like this suit of armor that you can like have magic missiles coming out of the nice.
So like it's a case where the Fireball has the potential to do more damage, but on average
it's not going to consistently do more damage.
Yeah, I think on average the Magic Missile would do more damage at that level.
On average, the Magic Missile plus the Fireball runs the risk because of the fact that it could do collateral damage to allies.
Yeah.
I would seriously tell people, Kobold Press, I really like what they've released so far. I want to see more from the fighter because I think that the Kobold Press fighter would be more interesting to play than a regular fighter, which is just currently like punch, extra attack, and action search, and that's like not a lot of like interesting things to do with that.
Well, the fighter has always traditionally been the simple class to play because there wasn't a whole lot of decisions involved. They've worked, as the editions have gone through, they've worked to try to add some more complexity options to the fighter, but the fighter was really your I swing a sword guy.
I mean, Battlemaster is a subclass, but
right?
the subclass Battlemaster could just be the basic fucking fighter. I mean, it doesn't, I don't know. Well, anyway, Kobold Press is doing a great thing. From what I was hearing and stuff like that. They're doing combined spells. They're trying to make, like viable end game level cantrips. They're trying to solve the problem of, like, there's a reason why people don't get past, level 12 in D&D, and people get past, in-game level, or in-game, play is very common in Pathfinder, and that is because the leveling system and like the scaling is shit in D&D, and like Kobold Press recognized that and like touched on that as something that they intend on fixing.
A lot of your stuff in D&D becomes almost obsolete once you get past a certain level. You're old.
Yeah,
and then you get reliant on the new stuff, but you're limited on how much you can do of it.
Well, yeah. So imagine, exactly. Imagine, a save like Tasha's hideous laughter. The saving throw that someone would have to do to get past that is minimal whenever they have +8 to wisdom.
Right.
And they're fighting against someone who's got a 16 DC. Like spell save DC. It's ridiculous. And a lot of these things just don't affect higher level creatures. And so, that's just one example. Fighters start lagging at longer play because they simply can't scale like magic users can.
They can't put the damage on not consistent.
Yeah, even with action surge and extra attack, that only does so much when the enemy's AC is like 24.
And they only get so many uses of it. No matter what, you're never going to get, a ton of uses of it. You're going to get two, maybe 3.
So the only option is for the DM themselves to fix this problem, and most DMs aren't suited for high-level play, and there's an art to it.
Yeah.
And so the system fails you and expects a human, like the DM, to keep the slack up. Where it's just, I don't know, high-level play is inconsistent, and it's something that I'm wanting to do in my campaign, so I'm actively right now pursuing how to fix it before we have to get to that point.
Yeah, the main option for high-level play, if you want to keep the balance of your characters, is instead of doing more high-level monsters, you still only have 1 or 2 high-level monsters, then just give them buckets of minion, because that's the only thing these lower-level players work on.
That is like the worst fucking thing you can do, because then it brings the battle to a crawl.
And it can cause the battle to be a crawl.
Minions,
and you just don't.
Minions should exist. But like I've heard people be like, well, just add a whole bunch of. Here's what you can do, and it's something that I've been like looking into, is finding ways to scale up enemy like a 12th level foe. How can I scale that to 20th level without just putting a shit ton? I mean, obviously you have to increase the HP, but like, how can you make this interesting without just like increasing numbers? You know what I mean? And still a viable threat to someone who's level 8. And so that's like
in 4th edition worked really well for that, because what they do is
I heard.
Yeah.
Go on. You can explain. Yeah, I've never played 4th
edition. In 4th edition, minions all had 1 hit point. But they were versions of lower level monsters that have had their armor class, their resistances, their damage was scaled up, but they only had 1 hit point. But they were also immune to the auto damage abilities, anything that like does damage on a miss and things like that. So you couldn't just clear them out with that, but you could still clear them relatively quickly while they posed a challenge. And that kind of worked in 4th edition in combination with 4th edition having what were called solo and elite monsters. Elite monsters counted as 2 monsters of their level, and solos counted as 5 for calculation purposes. And
Pathfinder managed to solve the problem. So I'm looking into how Pathfinder 2nd Edition did that, and like Kobold Press is attempting to solve the problem. And I might just like bring that in, but that's a serious flaw in Dungeons and Dragons specifically. And it's like not something we can't overcome. And I'm not changing our system. We're playing till level 20 in D&D.
Yeah.
But
going past level anywhere from 12 to 14, you start to come into that problem.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to we're approaching it. Our characters are level 8 now. I'm so excited.
Yeah, but once you get to a certain point, it's not always just doing higher level monsters, because you have to have so much in between time between high level monsters to balance out your powers, or you got to fill it with a whole bunch of weak minions to grind them down a little bit. And
you just need a couple mids and one high, and a scene change or something.
Right.
But if CR, like the CR system doesn't work, I threw a CR11 creature with a whole bunch of minions and a CR13 creature with a whole bunch of minions at the party without only one of them got a short rest in, and only one party member died, and they were all level 7.
A lot of people forget, and this actually ties into something we talked about last week. The CR system in all editions except 4th edition of Dungeons and Dragons has been based on a party encounter, because a CR5 creature is a suitable challenge for 3 to 5 characters of that level. Where in 4th edition it was actually a 1-for-1. So a CR1 was to go against one level 1 character, and so on.
Well, I know how I know you need to calculate for right now in 5th edition it's 4 level 4 party members would fight a CR4 monster and find that a hard challenge, not a deadly challenge.
It's 3 to 5. Yeah. It's actually considered an average challenge.
I use CR calculators online, although I could do the math because of the Dungeon Master's Guide does it, but
and some of the calculators are modified a little bit to take into account.
No, the 5e rules are like the way that the CR works for 5th edition is absolutely for characters. And so you adjust. And so I threw a level 13 because I realized my players at level 6 defeated a dragon that was CR11, and there was only 4 of them.
Well, you also have to
That's
take into account
insane.
the other thing that you have to take into account is action economy, because a lot of DMs let their characters rest multiple times in the day, get long rest. Constantly blowing their dailies 4 and 5 times in a row because they just rest completely after every encounter, and so they're fighting.
They didn't rest. They went under a mountain. They did stuff. They weren't resting, and they kind of just got jumped into the combat, and they fought 3-4 CR6 ice golems while they were fighting the monster, the dragon, and every single time that an ice golem exploded or was destroyed, 6 or anywhere, I'd roll a d6, and that many ice methods or steam methods would pop out.
Right.
And they'd have to deal with those, and that's a lot of action economy. That was just they still killed it.
Yeah. It can get
as 4 level 6 party members against a CR11 dragon and 4 CR6 creatures.
Yeah.
That level of that's so CR is bullshit.
Yeah, once they get to a higher level, it breaks down.
I mean, this was low-level combat, and so me as a dungeon master, I realize now that I'm doing my own stuff and not an actual module like we started out with Dragon of Icefire Peak. I now realize that in order to give my players whatever, I can't rely on the CR. I have to like go by what I know they can do, and like I have to do like 100% of that gauging because CR doesn't matter. Like CR is a guideline, but like what can they do?
It's a guideline for the beginner DM, but as I teach in some of my panels at conventions, you can't just rely on those numbers. It's a difference between the science of being a DM and the art of being a DM, because you got to be able to judge, because every party makeup is different, and depending on what the party chooses as their abilities and structures and stuff, certain encounters are going to be easier on them than others. You know, if you
there was a build that so during this encounter, Lurch was Lurch's Moyobo was actually underleveled because he wasn't even at the point he wanted to be with his Warlock. The thing that he felt like would make him viable with his Pseudo Dragon, and it has been. Oh my God, that thing's been so useful for him in our campaign since he got it. But that combat with his Pseudo Dragon. He didn't have it. And so he was a level 4 sorcerer and a level 2 warlock. And he wasn't using anything warlock related. So it was effectively a level 4 character fighting this thing.
I was using Eldritch Blast.
But that's
you were. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
And he was using it well. The thing that helped with Lurch was he was like being strategic about it, like pushing off enemies off of a cliff with the the Eldritch Invocation for.
Right.
There's an Eldritch Invocation for Eldritch Blast that shoves
targets.
targets.
And he's using it, but that still turned the death of the golem still turned into steam mephits that came and attacked everybody. Yeah. So it's not like he got off scot-free with that. And you got, I really consider, and there was a fighter who was stuck on the ground who dealt no damage to the dragon, and the dragon constantly picked up and dropped our bard. So it was just like I don't know how they beat it, but they did. I was trying to kill him, and only the bard went down because she fell.
Yeah. Now
our fighter went down.
Our fighter went down, but he had to leave to move to California.
Right.
And so he requested that his character die during that encounter. So
I don't want any of our discussion here to discourage people from attempting to be DMs, because that's not what we're trying to say. It's just there is more than just the numbers that you have to consider when you get into the higher and even the mid levels of D&D. Once you pass about level 5, CR gets thrown out the window, because it starts to get harder and harder to gauge.
You know what's really funny is I intentionally didn't give my players a ton of equipment. They don't have a lot of magic items that are like super amazing for them. So we couldn't even say that, they were OP. The fighter had a dragon slaying sword, and he never he wielded it in the last bit of the game, of that battle.
Use those kind of weapons is not all the way through, just for that one climactic scene. That's what those kind of weapons are really for.
Yeah, the Girok, our dwarf, did wind up doing the killing blow to the dragon.
Right.
No,
I did.
Moyobo did. Yeah, he did swipe at it, but your Eldritch Blast turning into the form of a golden dragon, enveloping him was what did the final blow to him.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. But he did wind up. My point is, towards the end, he did wind up getting, because he was readying an action to swipe at the dragon.
And this is this is one of the reasons, though, that when people come to me wanting to be a DM, that I recommend that they don't fall into the habit that a lot of people have nowadays of starting their characters at higher than first level, because they, as a DM, they need to go through running them at the lower levels so that they learn to gauge things other than just the numbers in the book. They need.
Yeah, I mean, we started at level 1.
They need to go through those levels because it's not just the players getting to know their characters, it's the DM getting to know their characters and their monsters, so that when it goes outside of the range of the numbers, they can adapt. Because everybody can DM. They can. They just have to realize that you can't just rely on the books to do it all for you. You have.
I didn't have that. I didn't have that in mind whenever I started DMing for this group. But the reason why we started at level 1 was because the goal was to get to level 20, and like I feel like like we all was like, yeah, if we started at level 3, that'd be kind of
You'd be
cheating.
losing out on 2 levels, even though the first two levels go so quick, especially in 5th edition. You can level those first 2 levels in your first session, real easy. And they're meant to be that small. When they redesigned it for 5th edition, that was intended. They even said that during the playtest, that you were meant to get through level 1 and 2 really quickly, but that it was best not to skip level 1 and 2 because that's when you start to get to know your character and your basic abilities.
It's really important to know. It's really important to know if you're an experienced DM and you're playing with experienced players, they tend to want to not do level 1 and 2. They just want to get to the core of the abilities that they already know exist and how to play. So if you're playing a group, you've already DM'd and you're playing a group that's already played, it's okay to start at level 3.
If they're veterans, they can do that. But as a new DM, you need to go through those levels as a new DM.
Yeah.
Even if the players are more experienced, you need to, especially if you're not using published adventures and you're trying to do your own homebrew stuff, because otherwise you're going to run into a whole bunch of pitfalls because the numbers aren't going to add up.
So I've been trying to get through the whole Kobold Press thing. And we keep getting back onto the thing of being a DM for Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm trying to keep going with the Kobold Press thing. I'm gonna finish it off by saying, if you are a person who enjoys D&D, I've seen a lot of join the Kobold Press newsletter, and you'll like what you're seeing. I like what I'm seeing. And the stuff that they produce is really high quality. Even the books are better quality than Wizards of the Coast books, and that's crazy.
They do produce some good quality products. They're consistently some of the highest rated third-party publications. Consistently.
Yeah, I love D&D. I love the story that Wizards of the Coast and that TSR started and Wizards of the Coast continued. And I honestly don't see myself moving away from the system, but I certainly see a hybrid of systems. I take what I like out of them because honestly, no system is going to be perfect.
Oh no, there's no such thing as a perfect system. But isn't Cobalt Press? I'm not looking at it right now, but don't they also produce the website Cobalt Fight Club?
No,
that's not them. I couldn't remember if it was them or not.
There's different kobold related things because they're awesome creatures.
Well, yeah.
But
I thought.
But no, Kobold Press is Kobold Press is just a publisher.
Yeah, I thought it was an offshoot of them though that did Kobold Fight Club as a tool. Anyway, we're going to get off this subject now. We're going to move forward. My From the Vault this week was inspired by the fact that Renfield is coming out this week, although it's not vampire related. It's Nicolas Cage related. Nicolas Cage plays Dracula in Renfield coming out this Thursday. And so I wanted to go to a movie where he also kind of plays a bad guy, and that's Face Off. Kind of links up with my John Travolta thing from a couple weeks ago when we did Broken Arrow. Because he plays Castor Troy, a big bad guy. In the very beginning of the movie, he plays Castor Troy, I should say, because shortly through the movie, he swaps faces with the anti-terrorist officer played by John Travolta. So then John Travolta becomes the actor of the bad guy, and Nicolas Cage becomes the actor of the good guy. So they do kind of a swap, and it's really a nicely written movie with some big ups and downs. They even, when they talk about the face change, it's not just straight plastic surgery. What they do is they actually cut the face off of Castor while he's in a coma and put it on a facial structure overlay on John Travolta's character's face so that it fits and it has the right structure. But the only thing they don't really explain is the teeth, because John Travolta's and Nicolas Cage's teeth are completely different shape, and they don't ever go into that.
How they don't explain is how they, like, John Travolta is a much more stockier, shorter individual than Nicolas Cage is.
Yeah,
So did they swap their skeleton?
Yeah, I was like, also ignores there.
Because John Travolta's a good 3 inches taller than Nicolas Cage, among other things.
Different body structures, different bone structures in general.
That they adjust the hair throughout the body as far as adding hair plugs where the one is more smooth.
The voice.
And the voice is, they use a...
well, that was explained as a voice modulator inside of their throat.
Yeah, they do explain some of it, but they don't go to... But again, this is also from the 80s, 90s kind of movie.
Yeah.
And so they hadn't done as much. But it's actually a
Teenager whenever it came out, so it was like 2000s.
It might have been in the 2000s. Let me see the release date.
I think it was in the 90s.
I think it was late 90s, personally, but...
1987.
87?
Wow.
97.
97, okay. So, but yeah, it's a great movie for those who like Nicolas Cage. I prefer Nicolas Cage in action over some of his lighthearted comedy. I think he's better in action, personally, with a couple of exceptions. And John Travolta is he's either really good or really bad. And Face Off and Broken Arrow count on his really good list. Grease, not an action movie, but a really good one for him. Those are the kind of things that I think they do well. And this is just one of those movies I really recommend. I rewatched it again today. It's great, and you get to see Nicolas Cage do his insane face, which is one of the things he pulls off really well, because he's in the prison as John Travolta's character, but he's trying to pretend that he's Castor's Troy, and he looks up at Castor's brother, and to convince Castor's brother and the other inmates that he's actually Castor Troy, he was getting his ass kicked by one of the inmates, then he suddenly looks at him and does that Nicolas Cage insane smile, big eyes thing, and then goes off. And it's totally a Nicolas Cage kind of scene. And it shows that Travolta's character was really supposed to know the Nicolas Cage character because he'd been chasing him for like 20 years. He was like the absolute expert. And the main theme is Nicolas Cage's character kills John Travolta's son when he shot at Travolta at an amusement park when they're on the merry-go-round. He shot Travolta, but the bullet went through Travolta and killed his son. And so it's been... Is
that literally what The Punisher?
What?
They were on a merry-go-round, and he was with, like, family, and someone shot through, like, in the Punisher TV.
Castle? Yeah. I think, that does kind of link up with some versions of the Punisher origin.
Yeah, like the Netflix Punisher, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is the thing, is like John Travolta is on the merry-go-round with his son in his arms, and Castor shoots him with the long-range sniper rifle, and it goes penetrates through him and kills his son. If it had been just like an inch to the left, it would have killed Travolta, but it would not have killed his son. So that's one of his like big regrets, is that he didn't die instead of his son. And so it makes it very personal for Travolta's character, and so he's made it like his mission to stop Nicolas Cage. And it's just really good writing and everything. Even if like I said, some of the special effects and science is not completely explained properly. Like I said, this is 90s.
Yeah.
And
90s sci-fi.
Yeah, you have to hand wave a few things once in a while. But at least
and Gadget came out 2 years after this.
And they actually, at least they went into the fact that the facial structure would be different. So they would do a facial structure overlay between the mask and the actual face of the character. They did talk about that, which is an important aspect that you would not expect in this era, but they went ahead and went into. So that was something that was just added that little extra element of believability in the science. And it's just a great movie. And in the spirit of Nicolas Cage being in Renfield this week, I probably won't get to go see it because I know Ralphie, my normal movie-going guy, his wife claimed that movie for her. So he has to see that one with her. So I don't even know if they'll get to because of babysitters and budgeting. But if I go, I might have to go by myself unless somebody wants to go with me, and we can arrange the times to link up just right.
I'd like to, but Steph has claimed that as a movie we have to go to, probably even before the Mario movie.
And I did go see that this week, but I'm the only one, so we probably won't be talking about that one next week.
Yeah,
I will.
Allie's wanting to watch the Mario movie with me as well, but she doesn't want to watch it until after the crowd dies down a little bit.
Yeah, Monica wants me to watch Mario too with her.
And that's the thing. Allison will see some movies with me, but she wants the crowd to die down on movies before she goes too.
Yeah, we did see John Wick 4 yesterday.
Fantastic movie. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Really,
I'll wait till you own it. I'm just kidding.
That is such a good movie. The kill count.
It's on Netflix, right? There are other ones.
The first three are on. I think it's Paramount right now. They're either Paramount or.
You know what? I like to go rewatch them all because so I spent years. I didn't watch it until John Wick 3 had already been out for a long time, and Lurch was like, "I own them all. Why don't you watch them? They're really good." And I'm like, "They look like they're good. I just I don't have the time because I don't watch movies a lot."
I own them all as well.
Lurch convinced me, and oh my God, I fell in love with Keanu Reeves.
Right. He does.
They're up to the hype. So I guess the question I have for you, Lurch, is does it maintain the same momentum or does it feel slower?
Yeah.
If anything, it's faster.
I do think it's a little longer than the other movies, but God damn, it's a good movie.
There's such a kill count in this movie. Oh,
I saw a thing that was like it had John Wick's head, but some other figure, and it's like, now that's how you make 4 individual movies in a row actually good. And he's slapping the face of the protagonist of a bunch of different movie movie leads that had a bad 4th movie or something.
Wow.
But it was really good. I definitely recommend seeing it. I can't wait till it comes to stream so I can see it again.
I kind of agree with that statement because Thor 4 wasn't that great.
Yeah.
It's still better than Thor 2.
I liked Love and Thunder personally, but anyway.
I liked parts of Love and Thunder.
It wasn't
Love and Thunder, but it had
the Gore the God Butcher wasn't perfect to his comic book character. There were some plot holes, but then again, there usually is.
Well, they needed to make him have more time But my issue with it was that it was too funny. Something I tried to say on the podcast even.
Taika Waititi
Before,
leaned into the humor a little bit too much in that one.
well, yeah, because a whole bunch of children are like fucking kidnapped, and he's just like joking, and it's like no one gives a shit in that movie. It's so strange.
Yeah.
Like there's no impact on Gore. Gore didn't feel that grand or terrible because Thor didn't really struggle against him.
Yeah, that was a part of it. But I actually liked the movie. It's one of my favorites of the Thors, actually. But there are plot holes in it for sure. Anyway, I recommend Face Off for those who have not seen it. And even if you have seen it, it's a good one to go back and watch. Face Off, where did I watch it today? I believe I watched Face Off on Hulu. It was either on Hulu or Paramount Plus. Right now, it is on one of the.
I'm gonna do a Kickstarter thing with you if you have one in. But Kobold Press actually has a Kickstarter for their Tales of Valiant Valiant.
It starts in May. It's supposed to start in May of this year. That'll probably be the next Kickstarter we really talk about. So once it launches, I will make sure to announce it on the stream because that's one I definitely want to support.
Do it. Well, Kobold Press also has a Kickstarter right now for Deep Magic 2.
Yeah, they usually have one or two products on Kickstarter. They use Kickstarter and they use it quite well because their products are just good quality all the way around, and they're good about making their prediction dates for release too.
You know what? I have a Kickstarter thing that should be delivered sometime soon.
Ooh, that's always.
Remember those dice coins from September?
Flip dice.
Yeah.
Flip dice.
Yeah, the flip dice. Those are supposed to be delivered in April sometime.
Ooh, exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will reiterate, if you're ever looking for a late birthday gift for me, Lurch, one of those coins would be great. If you get an extra. Just saying. Because I didn't back it, but I really liked the flip coins. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to move on to our media section. So from this point forward, heavy spoilers. I mean, we get spoilers in the vault because they're older movies. But from this point forward, it's new stuff in the spoiler department. So we're going to come in with The Flash, Superman and Lois, and Gotham Knights. I will also preface this by saying that The Flash went on hiatus after this week. So
I will before you guys get into this, we have 20 minutes left. I want to say I really enjoyed being on your podcast, and I really want to
in fact,
I really want to be on it again in the future. At the moment, it's not in the cards.
Well, before we go to that, then, was there anything, last thoughts you wanted to talk about the D&D movie before we go?
I thought I did, but I think we did a great job last time, and like anything else would just be ancillary.
I never did.
And you guys only have 20 minutes.
I never did make the point that I alluded to earlier when we talked about CRs. I had pointed out to you later in the week that it wasn't level 5 characters for the characters in the D&D movie. They were CR5 enemies.
I skimmed over and I saw 5, and I was like, and I should have known they were CR because they were monster stat blocks, not a character sheet. But I wasn't very much paying attention. But
that's
so that was
I wanted to touch on.
But
you are always welcome.
Oh yeah. The my addendum to settle like a thing we did talk about. I watched a compilation video of every trailer that came from the 4 Honor Among Thieves, and another compilation of every single interview that had happened in the beginning, and never once did they say that the Rogue was a bad guy or insinuate it.
I still distinctly remember it, but it's okay. I didn't go back and do that kind of research. So,
yeah.
So I'll go ahead and give it to you. Now I want to reiterate, you're welcome on the show anytime you can fit it into your schedule. We love having you, especially when it comes to Marvel, DC, and kaiju movies, because you are so much fun to talk about on those, and you're one of the few people that has seen as many kaiju movies as I have. So
oh yeah.
So it's always good to talk kaiju movies with you, but you're always welcome when you can fit in your schedule, if you have a day off or anything. And maybe in the future, if we ever do stream a live tabletop session, we'll stream it on this channel. It may or may not include all of us. I know Lurch isn't really big on being streamed when it comes to playing his games, but we'll see what happens there. And maybe we'll get you on in another day of the week when you have time off.
Sure.
Yeah. But we're going to go into the media stuff, and you don't normally participate in the CW verse stuff anyway, so.
Yeah, so that's why I was giving kind of my outro, as I was going to say. I'm just going to let you guys go ahead and talk, and I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been really fun, and it keeps me grounded, and I'm really sad that I'm not able to, continue it, but.
Work comes first.
It was great. It was great to see you guys. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, okay?
Yeah, right. It really sucks having to adults sometimes.
Yeah.
He's always gone to hear me complain about The Flash, because what the fuck was up with this last episode?
Oh, my God. Okay, this was the episode of...
You there?
I'm blanking here on this second. The episode this time around...
Are you blanking on this episode?
Was this Dreamer? Or was this the one after Dreamer?
This is after Dreamer. This last episode of The Flash is the one where they were doing a mold inspection of Star Labs.
That's right. It was the
then there was time anomalies.
Time-related episode, and I think I slept through part of the ending, so I don't even remember how it ends. But it did not end up bringing like I thought it would with the time in the name. I thought this might be the Legend of Tomorrow lead-in, but it did not end up being the Legend of Tomorrow lead-in.
Nope, nothing about Legends are in there.
No, but we had, the one thing from early in the episode was just an easy given is when the electrical inspector said the electrical thingy box, it, didn't even on a circuit breaker. I was like, as soon as she said that, I was like, okay, she's the plant, she's the one from the future. I was like, come on. She's not supposed to be there.
When she was saying that, I was like, I was like, is this sloppy writing trying to be funny about an electrician that doesn't know the circuit breaker boxes?
Yeah.
Or is it sloppy writing and how quickly they're giving away the hidden character in the group?
Right. That one I remember. Yeah, this is that episode. It also, the only real parts of the Flash team that we see in this pretty much is just Iris and Barry.
Yeah. And God, did they just have some lame excuses? Like every time they were asked, they were like, so why do you call this lab the speed room? Or the speed lab?
We just call it
you know what? I don't know. Well, what do you do in this room? Well, we don't really spend any time in here.
Yeah, and then they're like, they get stuck in a loop. So every time they leave the speed lab, they come back to the speed lab. So the guys that are inspecting start to think that there's two identical rooms just to screw with them, and other things. They end up, as a terrible excuse, to have to reveal that Barry's the Flash to these guys. I mean, it really... I'm not sure. This is a very lazily written episode, in my opinion.
It's not a terrible concept for an episode, but it was very lazily written.
Was not.
To add to the lazy writing, by the end of the episode, none of the people remembered he's the Flash.
Oh wow, because like I said, I fell asleep and then I never rewatched it
Yeah,
today.
yeah. It's a whole time. Well, they killed everybody, but then because of time, they all came back to life, and none of them remember anything besides Barry and Iris.
I meant to watch it today, but then instead I ended up watching something else. I don't even remember what it is I watched. Well, I watched Face Off, and then I watched something else, and I don't recall what it was. Oh, I watched the couple of new episodes of Night Court and stuff, and I never got around to watching rewatching this. I usually like to rewatch The Flash, Superman and Lois, and
Yeah.
Gotham Knights the day or two before our show. And I really didn't get around to doing that this week. Partly because Gotham Knights is just not pulling me in yet. Superman and Lois is great, but I still remember what happened on Superman and Lois. A big.
Do you think they're gonna? Well, okay. I don't want to get to Gotham Knight just yet, or you, unless you're done with the Flash. But
I think we're done with the Flash. Was there much anything else you would have to say? Because I missed half the episode sleeping.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot going for it. I mean, basically, the idea is someone in the future stole this time magnet. That's what it was.
Right.
A woman went to the future, stole a time magnet. Then, when she got busted and needed to escape, she time traveled back to April of 2023 because there was a certain date where they were having a mold inspection. I don't even remember why she needed to go in there for some reason to meet with Barry so Barry could fix the time magnet.
Well, the time magnet, I remember they said something about when you develop those kind of things, there's usually a point in time that they're anchored to. And I guess that was the point
but
that they were anchored
2023
to.
isn't where it was anchored. It was anchored to like 2152 or something like that, where it was coming from. The anchor was just left behind, I think, because she ran away in a hurry. Or some ridiculous thing like that. And so the solution at the end of the day was just to convince the thief to go back to the future and return it. And that fixed all their problems.
Yeah. I had the feeling of this, I should change this to two hosts too, so we can see you in full form.
Oh, yeah. So I'm not like split between the two, yeah.
Right. I forgot all about doing that. But I'm of the opinion that this felt like another filler episode. I mean, when it first started, the name of the episode made me think it would be the Legends of Tomorrow continuation. And then when it first started, before they indicated that it was the girl pretending to be the electrician, it sounded like something Booster Gold would have done, because he stole a lot of future tech and came back in time to pretend to be a superhero. So I thought, hey, maybe this is going to be the lead into Booster Gold.
No, I think it was. I think she called herself like Chronicus or something.
I don't remember the name they used.
Yeah.
But it started to feel like it might have been leading into that storyline, and then it didn't. And I think personally that's a missed opportunity. But it could be the later episode where they do tie up that might be better. But this felt like a poor filler episode with a good concept, but a poor filler because the writing was very subpar for this group.
Yeah.
Very subpar.
God.
And Berlanti's group is usually great when it comes to writing. Every once in a while there might be an FX issue or something, and it's not all the way up to standards. But
I mean, the writing the writing is a little hit and miss. Some seasons are better than others. Like the season about the 4 forces, like where that was the big arc of the season, that was overall bad writing.
I didn't mind it, but anyway, we're going to go on from The Flash, because really the last couple of episodes of The Flash have been kind of lackluster. That Lucky Girl episode was totally crap filler. This one feels like crap filler.
At least the Lucky Girl one had some character growth, sort of, for Cecile, even though.
And Chillblade.
And Chillblade, yeah, but it doesn't seem to. I don't think it did anything for. Well, okay. It felt a little disjointed. Something else was, this episode felt so disjointed because there was you have the A story and the B story. The A story is very, we're all gonna die. And the B story was like, well, I like you, but do I like you
Yes,
that much?
use the L word. Oh no.
Yeah, Chester used the L word, but I love him too, but I'm afraid to admit it
Everybody
because
that I love leaves me and shit. Yeah.
everyone I love dies, or something. It's like, oh God, this feels like such a low stakes
Bad,
love drama
yeah,
side
a
story for the
bad
B
soap
story,
opera.
while everyone else, we got the people in the dilemma of we're about to die in any second now because of time smashing in upon us.
It's some of the worst of the soap opera writing all shown at once. Uh,
It was
it was
such a
very
bizarre
soap
tonal
opera.
shift in between scenes.
I know it was disjoining. It was terrible.
You
Uh,
whiplash from one scene to
yeah.
the next. It was crazy.
Now, Superman and Lois, we have Lois dealing with her cancer. Um, is the big push of the episode that she's actually, uh, and then there's the side plot of John Henry finding out that she had consulted with his sister on this earth. Uh,
Yeah.
and so John Henry actually goes and he meets his sister from this earth and then has a confrontation with Bruno Mannheim where Bruno threatens his family.
Well, yeah. Well, Bruno not just threatens his family, shows that he has abducted his sister of this world and strapped her with a freaking bomb in a van.
Yep. He's basically, Bruno shows how much of a prick he totally is, but it also explains possibly why the John Henry of this earth worked for Bruno Mannheim, because it could have been that the John Henry from this earth that died
I
was
did.
blackmailed as well.
I got that impression too.
Yeah.
I got the same impression as you did.
Because for the most part, the alternate Earth versions are fairly similar in demeanor most of the time. Sometimes there's a big difference, but I think that the John Henry of this Earth ends up being blackmailed by Bruno Mannheim and threatened into working for him, and that's what's going to come out, which is going to redeem him to his sister later on in the series when they get to talking about it. Because from what it sounds like, other than that bad stuff that he did for Bruno Mannheim, him and his sister were thick as thieves, very very close before all that happened. So it makes perfect sense that one of the few things that would get him to compromise his morals would be threats to his family, especially his sister.
Yeah.
So I think that's leading into that. And I thought that was a good plot loop to instigate in this episode. I'm still, I mean, Sarah's finally starting to get some of what she's done wrong. I mean, come on, look, you lied and got in trouble. That's how things work. But she
Okay.
realized
Okay. So the Sarah story on this, it's despite it being a bit juvenile, it's not a badly written juvenile story here because it makes sense.
Right.
She got slapped by her mother in the previous episode, right? That was the previous episode.
And
yeah.
As
week
much
ago.
as I'm not a big fan of a lot of corporal punishment for kids,
So
deserved that slap.
So yeah, the way she reports to her dad is that her mom slapped her for calling her out on being problematic somehow. I don't remember what it was exactly she said.
Controlling.
Yeah.
Her life.
She was being like really controlling and blah blah blah, and when he's like, and then I called her out on it, and she hit me, kind of a thing, and so that pissed off the dad, and he went to talk to Lana
but
about hitting the kid, and then
Lana
then finds out that the reason why, the thing that got her to slap her was saying, that it was Lana's fault that the dad cheated, and he's like,
what? Whoa,
okay.
Wait a minute!
He's like, that doesn't excuse the hit, but that's a lot worse than she let on.
I mean, and in that case, a knee-jerk slap makes sense.
Yes.
That was totally in character. Even for parents who don't normally like to spank or slap their kids, when your kid gets to teenage level and they throw something like that in your face and completely out of line, I can see the knee-jerk reaction. And the mom was perfectly normal after that, in that she immediately got apologetic because she doesn't need to hit her kid, but it was a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah. It was all very...
completely believable.
Yeah, this is all very believable. I can see the Flash trying to do this and the current team of writers completely botching it. But this was done, this was a well done...
In most recent episodes, the writing has been subpar, I must admit.
So we have that going on, right? So we have that. We actually have 3 stories happening in this episode of the Superman and Lois, right? Because we have that little story happening. We got John Henry Irons going and dealing with Bruno Mannheim and his sister being abducted, and rescuing her from the bomb. And while all that's going on, what's his name?
Jonathan's girlfriend Constance's father is being handled by first Jonathan, then Lois, then Clark.
Yeah. So Jonathan goes to see Candace. And then meets with, ends up coming face to face with her dad, and he starts talking some shit. I don't know what it was he says, and Jonathan says something about how he knows that he's, because the dad's he's like, I don't know what you told her to piss her off at me, but I'm not gonna handle it. And he's like, what? You're ashamed of stealing my truck or something like that? You had the necklace.
We know you stole the truck because you had my watch.
Yeah. And then the man punches Jonathan. Gives him a pretty good bruiser.
Yeah. Nice shiner, yeah.
Yeah, pretty good shiner there. And then, he tries to hide it from Lois because Clark asked the boys to leave Lois alone because she's actually undergoing her chemo treatments.
So that was one of the subplots, is Lois having to establish with Clark and the boys that they can't wrap her in bubble wrap just because this is going on. She still has to be mom.
So, this was kind of great. So, of the 3 story arcs, this one's my favorite one.
Yeah.
So, they're all 3 good. I think the John Henry Irons is probably the weakest of the 3, but it's not bad.
Lois gets struck by that guy, I was surprised.
So, Lois, isn't letting it go. Who gave you the black eye? And then finds out, she ends up getting him and Jordan to both spill the beans on the whole thing about this truck getting stolen, them stealing it back, yada yada, finds out about the black eye. So Lois takes the boys back there, and she confronts the man, right? And she's like, don't you ever touch my boy again, either of my kids. And the guy lifts his shirt and reveals a gun and starts, giving her some shit, right? Threatening her with the gun.
Yeah. And she's like, and don't think I won't hit a woman kind of thing. And it's like,
yes. I think he said that exact words. And then, and then after they get back home, Lois is feeling weak and from the chemo and stuff. And then Clark gets home. He ends up getting the rundown. He sees the black eye. He starts to ask questions, and that ends up leading to the whole thing and him learning the whole deal.
And she says, this is not a job for Superman. He's like, Superman's not the one going.
Yeah, and he leaves. He immediately leaves, and he finds the man getting dinner at the diner where the man's daughter works.
Where Candace works, or Candace works.
Constance? Candace? I think it's Candace. And he gets there, and when he's there, Lana and her family, Sarah, and the dad,
are there, yeah.
Yeah, and they're just finishing up their little story, right? About apologizing to each other and forgiving each other and trying to move past the slap and what the daughter said. They're just getting over this when Clark comes storming in. Pissed. Yeah, reasonably pissed,
Clark,
right?
And Clark might have revealed a little bit of his Superman-ness because he pushed Clark, and Clark didn't budge a millimeter.
Yeah. So okay. So he comes up to him. And he's like, I need to talk to you outside. He's like, and the guy's like giving him the shit. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm eating my dinner. Go piss off, kind of a attitude, right?
I don't want to do this in front of your daughter. Clark's being totally respectful.
Yeah.
Because it's Clark.
Yeah. I don't want to do this in front of your daughter. The guy gets up and tries to, man shove Clark back and just bounces off of him like it's a brick
like
wall.
A wall, yes.
And then he tries to throw a punch at him, and Superman, easily just grabs his hand and, and makes it look natural and slams his head down on the table and then pins him down with his arm out and stuff.
And told him basically if he did anything, if he dealt kryptonite, if he did this, it was that. He's like, Lois is going to expose you, and I'm going to show up and kick your ass.
Yeah. He's like, you stole my son's truck. You punched my son in the face, and you threatened my wife with a gun.
Yeah.
You do one more thing in this town, my wife will expose everything about you, and you'll see seeing a lot more of me, or some shit like that. Like, put the fear of God in this man. He left town.
And they ended the episode by inviting Candace to live with them, and basically, Jonathan and Jordan are now sharing a room, and then she gets Jonathan's old room. So she's staying on the Kent farm because that's the last thing that the Kents would do is leave her abandoned like that.
Yeah.
Because that's just the kind of people they are. And of course, Lana and Kyle and Sarah are watching this stuff in the diner, and Lana and Sarah know that Clark is Superman, so they're like, they see him bounce off of Clark. It's just, oh my God. And I don't know what. I was like, wow, you're tougher than I thought, Ken.
And Clark is like known as like a good, nice guy in town. So everyone in the diner is like, oh shit, Clark is pissed. Like this guy did something wrong.
Clark don't act out in anger because he's been Superman. He's always known he had to control his strength and stuff. So acting out in anger was one of the things that his dad taught him never to do. Jonathan Kent taught him to never act out in anger, and that's one of those key features of Superman.
Yeah.
Superman / Clark Kent doesn't do that. And Kyle pissed him the fuck off.
No, his name's not Kyle. It was
Kyle's
Sarah's dad. Whatever the fuck this guy's name is.
Yeah, asshole pissed Clark off no end. Oh my God. You could see the anger radiating off of him. I mean, Tyler Hoechlin really played that well. Tyler Hoechlin is he's one of my favorite Superman actors.
He's really good at the role.
Job as Superman and as Clark Kent. I think, and it's part of it is the writing, but I think also Tyler Hoechlin is just really, really good because if you look at his character as Clark, and then you look at his character in Teen Wolf, they are two completely different characters with two completely different demeanors, and he does both of them really well because his werewolf character is full of anger and angst and stuff, and his Superman character.
I like him a lot, but I do think, as a whole, I don't know if his Clark Kent is quite as. Is meek the right word here?
Well, this is later on when Clark can be a little bit more assertive than earlier in his career.
Yeah.
He's starting to get more confidence in his Clark persona. So, this is after he had to become a father, and becoming a father changes you a little bit too.
Yeah, that's true too.
But yeah,
so my thinking is that kind of gets his Clark Kent persona acting closer to a Superman persona. It gets him a little bit closer. Him being fatherly makes him act a little closer to how his Superman is. So
it's not as meek as like the Christopher Reeves Clark Kent, which is often lauded as the best Clark Kent ever, was Christopher Reeves. The one I never was really convinced, even though I love the show, Dean Cain, I didn't think played a really good Clark. But there's been some great Supermans and Kent throughout the years, but Tyler Hoechlin is probably my favorite.
Yeah. Overall, good episode. A good episode of Superman and Lois.
Absolutely.
Most episodes are, though.
Yeah, this has been a hit every time I've seen it so far. I've not seen a bad episode of Lois and Clark yet.
We're a little bit after 10, and I think the only show left is Gotham Knights.
And we're not even really super focusing on that.
And I think all I want to say, because I am caught up on it now. I've seen all 4 episodes, and my overall thoughts is it's crap.
The Joker's daughter is the only super interesting character.
Yeah.
And Harvey Kent is good. And we know that eventually Harvey does become Two-Face, but it may not be till like the last episode of season 1 before we even see that.
I think it's going to be next week. I think it's going to be next week because Misha Collins put out a video with him goofing around with, I think, one of the supernatural actors or whatever.
Well,
and they were like goofing around about, because they were making puns about Two-Face. They're making Two-Face related puns.
I do.
For the 17th.
The original plan was to have Jensen Ackles play Bruce Wayne in the series, but they could never get it to line up with his shooting schedule for the other things he was working on, because he was also working on both The Boys and Winchesters.
Yeah. So there was a video, and maybe it's just a false, a red herring situation,
false flag, yeah.
But Jensen Ackles was making some kind of a pun about, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was some sort of a pun, joke, hint thing about Two-Face on the 17th, and Misha is like, oh, come on, you guys, it's supposed to be a secret, or whatever.
We'll see this week. Like I said, The Flash is on a hiatus, I believe, this week. They said that they were going to take a hiatus week, I think.
So they took a break, and then they did one episode, and then another break?
Yeah, there was, and I don't remember what the reasoning was for the break, but
they got to stretch those 13 episodes out, I guess.
Well, that plus I think there might be another event or something that they're broadcasting on the network, one of the sporting events or something. I'm not absolutely sure, because remember, these also air on a live network, and the live networks sometimes have political debates and sports events that get in the way. So it might be something like that. I'm not absolutely sure, because I watch them on stream, as I know you do as well. Anyway, the CW is shaping up pretty good. I know that the ratings for Gotham Knights are starting to go up now, and it's like the 4th highest HBO Max produced series in the ratings right now. Even though it's not being produced for HBO Max, it's the 4th highest rated series for HBO Max right now, which is funny since it hasn't even moved to HBO Max yet. It's still on the CW.
You know, I read an article, I saw an article, and I haven't verified this further, but I saw an article that HBO Max and Disney, or not just the Discovery, whatever, are now rebranding and coming out as just called Max.
Yeah, they're working on the rebranding. It hasn't been fully released yet, but they are finishing up the stuff for the rebranding of the HBO Max Discovery Plus link. When they come out, it's supposed to come out, I think it's like in August or September is when the new network is supposed to come out, I think.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. So much stuff is going on, though. We've got more things coming out. Like I said, Renfield comes out this weekend. We got Fast X comes out soon. We've got a few other different movies that are coming out that have been highly anticipated. I'm probably going to wait till it comes to stream before I watch like 65. It's not real high on my list of ones I have to see.
It's not it's not at the AMC anymore anyway.
Yeah, it's already getting ready to come to. So Avatar, they have not listed when it's coming, but they've started doing some more stuff with information on it on Disney Plus. More of the stats have been released of what it's going to be when it does come out. So you know they're gearing up to release it. They just haven't announced the release date on Disney Plus yet because it's one of the movies that they're trying to get a few extra bucks on digital sales before they put it on a stream. They're doing that with that one, and they're also they're going to do that with one of
Well, if I remember right, it's the single most expensive movie ever produced, isn't it?
One of. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening in Hollywood. There's been other movies that have been really successful and not got sequels that we thought would, like Mrs. Peregrine's Home for Imaginary Children. That was on like a
Peculiar Children, not imaginary children, but yeah.
Peculiar Children. That was on like $100 million budget, 100 and something million, and it made close to 400 million and had great reviews all the way around, and a good cast. But for some reason, it was 5 books, so there was more source material, but it never got a second movie. It's been kind of up and down about what's getting sequels and what's not. It's just not being as consistent as it used to be. But we're going to end it this week. We are already over by 11 minutes. Again, a fond farewell to Angel, but we will have him back to guest whenever we possibly can because he's such a fun person to have. And you never know who we might get as another co-host on the show. We have a lot of nerdy friends in the area that might jump in once in a while. You never know how that'll go. But
it's kind of like trying to schedule D&D. We're adults with the things that we have to do, so making it it can be a challenge.
But as long as you got me and Lurch, we'll be doing these shows. If we do days where one of us can't make it, we usually just cancel the show, period, and then just come back the next week. So we will occasionally have a hiatus for one reason or another. But as far as we're concerned, next week we should have our show as normal, but it'll just be me and Lurch again, which means we'll each probably talk about a couple of topics. We'll go back to talking to multiple topics each because there'll be just the two of us. And we'll catch everybody next time. And who knows, we might find us another co-host at some time. And then we'll bring out a new face because there's so many great nerds in this area. And we'd love to have more of them come on. But same bad time, same bad channel next week. In the immortal words of Stan Lee, Excelsior! Good night, everybody.
Peace out. Bye.